Welcome to Spooky News from Spooky Ventures for March 6th, 2020. We're into a new month, so let's get into some new news. Remember, Spooky News and everything Spooky Ventures is supposed to be interactive, so please interact. Share our videos, like our videos, subscribe. Leave us comments. If you got things you'd like to see, let us know. If you got things you disagree with in our videos, let us know. Let's get some conversations going, and let's just, in general, interact. Apparently there's a museum in Devon, England called Torquay Museum, and it's been said to be haunted with books flying off the shelves. And the staff believe that the ghost that haunts the place is the ghost of none other than Agatha Christie. Apparently a lot of the times books that get moved and thrown around and things are her books, and it's led them to believe that she in fact is haunting the place. So, well, the museum does have their only Agatha Christie collection in the UK, so perhaps that has a lot to do with it. So, let the Home Alone jokes begin. Apparently, Macaulay Culkin has joined the cast of American Horror Story for the upcoming season. So, I think that's kind of big news, and, I don't know, I hope they do sort of a nod to Kevin McAllister somehow. There have to be ways they can do that without breaking out of the show itself. You know, how they could even have the Home Alone movie playing on TV in one of the scenes or something. But yeah, I would hope they would do some kind of a nod to it. We'll see what happens, but I guess American Horror Story Home Alone is going to be the next season. Well, you might say you've got a friend in horror. That's because Courtney Cox is going to be in a new show called Shining Vale, which is coming from Stars, and it's a horror comedy. At least she's going to be in the pilot anyway. So I guess remains to be seen what the show looks like or if it gets picked up. But it's always good to have horror-based stuff coming out, and when you've got a big name like Courtney Cox involved, usually it means it'll do pretty well. Well, Zombies worked for AMC for a TV series, so I guess it should be no surprise that somebody else is coming up with an idea for a zombie show, and that Sci-Fi Network is pushing George A. Romero's Day of the Dead as a TV series. So we'll see how it works out as a TV series. After I recorded the bit about that you just saw about the George A. Romero Day of the Dead series coming to Sci-Fi, a news article came across my virtual desk stating that the George A. Romero estate is saying that they did not endorse, nor do they, by any means, promote this show or have anything to do with the show. So I felt it was important to include that in this video since I was talking about the show. It is not by in any means endorsed by them. I talked a while ago about how Shudder's going to have a new series called Cursed, about supposedly cursed horror film sets. And they have now released a new trailer for it, so you can check that out. Get an even better idea of what the series is going to be all about. The streaming service Quibi has picked up the Image comic books horror comic Ice Cream Man for a TV adaptation. Now, I've not read Ice Cream Man, but it sounds like it should be pretty interesting. There's a new article that surfaced about an Australian horror punk band called Coffin Carousel. I haven't heard of these guys, but now that they're on my radar, I will definitely be checking them out. And if you're into spooky music, and you're here watching spooky news, so if you like music, you probably like spooky music, be sure to give them a try, and see. I'll see if I can find some videos to add to our spooky music playlist, and you can check them out. Here we go again with the Netflix publicity machine. Now they're saying they've got a new show, which is The Girl on the Third Floor, which is messing everyone up. We keep hearing the same promo about every single thing that comes out on Netflix that's scary. Ooh, people couldn't sleep. Ooh, they're all messed up over it. Ooh, it's the scariest thing they've ever heard. Will these guys come up with some new material? Seriously, this is getting old. In fact, I'm not the only one who's commenting on it. I've seen it in some threads in some of these horror movie things. It's like, okay, well, we've heard this a million times before. It's just getting to be a joke. I mean, you know what? The show might be scary. Most of the time they put these stuff out about these things, and then I hear from real people who say it really isn't that scary. So, who knows? It's just, it kind of is. I don't know. It's a running joke at this point, as far as I'm concerned. The Netflix PR department. Again, don't come after me. It's just my opinion, but I find it to be a joke. They just keep pushing out the same stories about everything that they come out scary with that's supposed to be scary. Well, if you guys have been watching a bunch of these, you know I like lists of things, and there's a list of 10 space horror movies you need to watch right away. One of them I talked about with the Lovecraftian films last week, Event Horizon, which I still think is a very brilliant film. Of course, they've got both Alien and Aliens, the sequel, uh, in the list. Another one I was kind of happy to see in this list is Ghosts of Mars. Now, I know people a lot of people really hate on that movie, and it does have sort of a comic book vibe to it in a lot of ways. Carpenter almost also seemed to be going on a, Quentin Tarantino kind of thing. He was trying to get sort of that Quentin Tarantino vibe to some degree, I think, with it. And it makes it sort of atypical of Carpenter in some ways, but almost cartoonish of Carpenter in another way. But the thing is, I think the movie works. It's a lot of fun, and it's scary, and it's perhaps a bit over the top, but it's a cool movie. Um, a lot of people disagree, but so check out the list, see what you think, see if you agree, disagree. But I thought it was a pretty neat list. There is a brand new trailer out for Saint Maud. That movie's going to be opening soon, and you can have a look at the trailer now and see what you think. It's supposed to be a pretty scary one. It's from A24. Is Sophia Lillis the new horror scream queen? Apparently, a lot of people think so. She shows up on you Google that, and there's a new article talking about it that I will share. I don't know. You got to go. I mean, they're even talking about comparing her to Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis is probably the original, right up there with Linnea Quigley, maybe. Um, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. A lot of times these people sort of come and go, but long time. It always seems weird when they start talking about that sort of a legacy when somebody's just getting started. But we'll see what happens. In case you missed it, we released a new spooky review for the new Richard Stanley Color Out of Space Lovecraft film. Yeah, I really kind of got a little verbose with it and talked on for quite a while, but be sure to check it out. That came out on Wednesday. Be sure to have a look. So back when the Oscars were happening, there was a lot of buzz about how they were ignoring horror movies. Well, the Oscars have always ignored horror movies. I didn't talk about it, even though I wanted to, mainly because I didn't want it to give any more attention to the Oscars than they needed. I always have kind of thought the Oscars are a joke, and I don't see the point of really giving them a lot of airtime. But I figured I would sort of throw that in there at some point when I got the opportunity, and this is the opportunity. Screen Rant has just put out a list of the 10 best horror movies that were snubbed by the Oscars. Now, horror movies getting snubbed by the Oscars, that's normal. So, the Oscars are a joke in my opinion. Again, just my opinion. But, have a look at this list. Plenty of good horror movies have been overlooked by the Oscars. It's nothing new, and it isn't going to go away anytime soon either. I think the Oscars will probably go away before that phenomenon goes away. In case you missed it, and I don't know how you could have, there's a new Candyman movie coming out, and it's being done by Jordan Peele. I know he has fans and those who aren't so crazy about his work. Personally, I've only seen Us, and I really enjoyed it, although I thought it was a bit of a flawed film from conceptually. But he's the one doing the new Candyman, and there's a brand new trailer that's launched. It looks pretty creepy. It didn't really grab me the way I was hoping it would have, but I don't know. You guys can have a look. Let me know what you think of the new trailer. Like I said, this stuff's supposed to be interactive, so leave us some comments. There was an idea going around for a while, and The Mummy with Tom Cruise was supposed to have been the launch, that Universal was going to restart all of its old horror movie universe called the Dark Universe. And The Mummy really kind of tanked at the box office, which sort of put an end to that. Well, now The Invisible Man just came out, and this time around they kind of turned it over to Blumhouse to launch it, and the movie has done really well at the box office, particularly considering the fairly low budget it had. So, there's a new article out that suggests that Bloody Disgusting that says that it's probably back on track to do the Dark Universe, so expect to start seeing more of the Universal horror monsters in reimagined tales set in the modern day. I personally would love to see that. I'm still waiting to see Invisible Man. I don't really go to the theaters to see movies anymore, so I'm going to have to wait for home video. But the trailer looked good to me, so, and it's gotten some decent reviews. We'll see. You guys know I love lists, and Brahms The Boy 2 is coming out, and in honor of that, Screen Rant has a list of the 10 creepiest horror movie dolls, from Annabelle to Chucky and a whole lot more. So be sure to have a look at that list. Leigh or Leigh Whannell apparently did a horror movie a couple years ago called Upgrade. Now, I've not heard of that movie. I'm going to have to look it up and see what it's all about. But apparently now he's talking about doing a sequel to the film, and there are apparently some people pretty excited to see that. So if it's generating that much of a buzz, I got to look up the original and have a look at that one. There are two horror movies opening this weekend, both opening today. There's Beneath Us and Extraordinary. Now, I haven't seen trailers for either one yet, but get out there to the theaters and see them. Let us know what you think of them. Always, if you go see one of the movies we mentioned, leave a comment on the video. Let us know what you thought. And that's a wrap for this edition of Spooky News. Be sure to tune in next week for another version or another edition of Spooky News. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.